Our media product presents social groups in two main different and distinctive ways. In our film opening, teenagers are presented as vulnerable and irresponsible, whereas adults are presented as responsible, intelligent, and mature. The protagonist of our film opening is presented in this way as he is portrayed as a drug-abusing teenager. In the beginning of our film opening, the protagonist named Kevin is buying drugs and making an exchange with the drug dealer in the dark corner before the car park entrance. This scene was shot in a medium shot where the two can be identified holding two separate props. Kevin has money in his hand whereas the drug dealer has a pills container. Match-on action is used to emphasize the significance of the props by using a close-up on the container and the money. The color scheme and the lighting is dark, black and orange. The color scheme originates from the lighting given off by the street lamp, leaving the impression that the area where they are making the exchange is urban. These techniques show that Kevin is purchasing drugs off a street drug dealer in a hidden area. The audience has knowledge of irresponsible drug usage and understands that Kevin is supposedly buying illegal drugs due to the discreet exchange made in a hidden area. As a result of this, the audience can relate to their knowledge about street dealing and cross-reference their idea to what they expect the drug exchange to look like. Kevin is portrayed as young and is expected not to spend his money on drugs as the audience knows that certain drugs can be harmful and lead to dangerous lifestyles. This shows that Kevin has been easily controlled and influenced by his surroundings in the urban area and that he represents the youth that have all been exposed to the experiences of recreational drugs. In contrast, our media product presents adults as mature, responsible and intelligent. In one of the scenes, the therapist that helps Kevin overcome and deal with his experiences is portrayed as intelligent and mature. We portray the therapist as intelligent through the use of mise-en-scène. The costume that the therapist is wearing consists of a pair of glasses, a scarf, and a black sweatshirt. The glasses are a direct reference to intelligence as the audience will link the two concepts together. The stereotype of people having glasses being intelligent is dominant and the audience will assume so as soon as they spot the therapist talking to Kevin. While the medium shot captures a therapist talking to Kevin, another prop such as a clipboard refers to the authority and observation that the therapist has. The clipboard shows that the therapist is making notes and observing Kevin for later analysis, and the scarf represents maturity as the audience can relate to the knowledge they have for scarves. Scarves are often portrayed to be worn by intelligent professors or someone extremely mature. The representation is depicted from a modern-day media. TV shows such as Sherlock, the detective wears a scarf where he is caught in action. We cross-reference the idea and implement the similar element in order to add maturity to the personality of the therapist. All these techniques show that the therapist is ready to help and interested in Kevin's problems and situation. As a result of this, the therapist represents adults as responsible for younger generations as the therapist is helping Kevin. This supports the stereotype that adults are mature and responsible, which the audience can identify and relate to.
Technology has played a massive role in the whole process of making our film opening. During the early stages of our research, we had used surveys to receive responses that would help construct our ideas together and make a film opening that our specific target audience would enjoy watching. By using the responses we got, we were able to include what people enjoyed watching in a drug-related film to help represent the types of youths in society that take drugs and the effect it has on them. When it came to filming, we had used two different cameras, our first one being a professional film camera used to film the dark night scenes at the beginning of our film opening, allowing us to film in the dark without the use of lights, and our second being used in our therapist scene at the end. Without precisely using appropriate cameras in specific scenes would have made our film opening not as professional as we would have wanted it to look, so the camera changes were crucial and important. When it came to editing, we decided on using Sony Vegas as our editing software because that is the one we all were familiar with and knew how to use. This would enable us to have no time to waste and instead have longer time to experiment with different edits and effects on each shot we filmed. Sony Vegas is a very reliable editing software as it allows you to have a more professional gloss finish, as well as allowing you to edit throughout each scene precisely, and there is the opportunity of seeing your entire film on a visible timeline. Overall, without technology, we wouldn't have created our film opening.
Who would be the audience for your media product? When researching for our target audience, we looked into genres on our film, which were psychological drama films. So as a group, we searched up the highest rated psychological drama films on IMDb, as we wanted to appeal to a wider demographic. Films such as The Godfather Part 2, Fight Club, and The Pianist all had ratings of 8.5 and above. So from the genre research on these films and the target audience they reached out to, we decided to choose teenagers aged 15 to 19 to be our target audience. The main reason for this is the drug-based film we produced that can be relatable to people of this age, and the destruction it can bring to someone's life. We sent surveys to people around the school of the chosen age group of our film to ask what an audience wants from a film. From these surveys, we found out that the plot is what people aged 15 to 19 enjoy the most in a film opening. This helped us understand what we can change and improve on to make our film better. So we changed our last scene that was a clip of Kevin getting bullied by the same people from the car park, but earlier on the day at school. However, we decided to change it to a therapist scene because we were able to add more dialogue into that scene that could clear up and explain Kevin's hallucinations at the car park. We think this change improved our film overall and worked the way we wanted it to, because from the feedback we received from people that watched the film, they were confused at the beginning with Kevin's hallucinations and the camera angles we used in that scene, but they were all cleared up after the therapist scene. How did you address your audience? Our film attracts the target audience we chose because the genres that we picked for our film are very appealing to our target audience, young teens and over. People of this age group enjoyed psychological dramas because they normally end on mysteries that confuse them and make them ask questions. We as a group decided to add a cliffhanger onto our film, which was Kevin ending on "That was my first time," bringing up the thought of what other experiences he's had with drugs. This cliffhanger ensured our film focused on our particular demographic. We showed the film to a tutor group in our school for audience feedback, which involved what went well, what could have been improved on, and a rating out of 5. We ultimately got positive feedback and 5 out of 5 from most of the class.
Thinking back to our prelim task, we would say that we have improved drastically since we filmed and edited it back in October of last year. The reason being, we took the idea of our film opening and ensured we used weird and uncomfortable shots when necessary to help establish the effect drugs has on the body, but more specifically the brain and eyes. These different distinctive shots were taken with the 3 rules of filming still in mind that we used for our prelim, ensuring us to have that professional look. The editing that we used for our prelim task was not as sophisticated and professional as Sony Vegas, which we used for our film opening. The reason being that back in October we didn't really think editing a piece of film was as important as we do today. That filming the shots were more important, and believed that editing on a simple software such as iMovie would be good enough. Surely now that we would consider ourselves successful filmmakers, we are more aware of how important editing is when it comes to making a film. So we would say that we have learned a lot since the beginning of the course and have majorly improved, as we would consider ourselves more creative and outgoing, as whenever each of us has an idea, we're not as afraid anymore to go ahead with it and experiment, which we did for most of our scenes within our film opening. And most of the time realizing that the idea was not at all pointless, but instead unique and works well with the representations we wanted to show within our film opening.